Today's video I am shooting in my apartment, and I'm going to do my very best to keep the noise down. My children are, half hour to an hour before bedtime. They're jumping all over the place. They're absolute maniacs. So there may be some screaming in the background. So I apologize in advance if you hear children screaming and possibly my fantastic, wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful, perfect wife. I have a story to tell. She allows to use her name, and her name is Natalie. So I'm going to jump right in. She says, "Dear Ryan, my name's Natalie, and I want to share my story with you and all those who suffer with addiction. My addiction is about opiates and methadone. I suffered a traumatic childhood with an opiate-addicted mother. I remember hating her for the things she did and swore to myself I would never be like her. She was always high or sick, in and out of rehab for as long as I can remember. I was angry all the time. She played Russian roulette with our lives every day. She took us to different men's homes all the time so she could get high. These men abused us constantly. I don't think I have to tell you how. I started rebelling at a young age, 12. I started drinking and smoking almost daily, and she provided it for me and my siblings. I started hanging with the people who I knew were just like me. Drugs became my best friend. Meth, cocaine, alcohol, pot, LSD, and huffing. I didn't have to think about anything when I was high. This pattern continued until I was 24. I overdosed on meth and stopped doing almost everything. But I was so depressed and I didn't know how to cope. Shit, I never knew any other way. So I hit the alcohol hard, and it didn't help that my husband was just as fucked up as I was. I ended up getting in an accident, DUI. Luckily, I was only sentenced to community service. I think my pill abuse started when I started taking care of my father-in-law, who was suffering from stage 4 esophageal cancer. I was his nurse, feeding him through the tube in his stomach, to giving him his morphine when he was in so much pain. I fell asleep holding his hand, to him squeezing my hand, which woke me up, and watching him die in my arms. Shortly after, I started having severe anxiety attacks. I was placed on Xanax. I don't know if that caused my anxiety, or if it was a combination of that and abuse at the hands of my husband. He was very verbally and emotionally abusive with me. A few years passed, and I got pregnant with my son. I stopped everything for his safety, of course. I had a C-section and was introduced to opiates. I found my new best friend now. Nothing else mattered to me. When my husband would scream and yell, I didn't care because I was high. I took Percocets and Oxycontin, taking 360 pills within a 2-week span every month, to hitting the streets to find more, if not heroin, so I wouldn't be sick. I also had 2 to 3 different pharmacies I'd go to because I can get my script filled in 3 weeks. I manipulated the system. But getting high wasn't fun. It was just a way of survival to me, to numb. I hated my life and what I've become now. A pathetic junkie, at least that's what my dad says I am. Even now that I'm clean, he says I'm a pathetic junkie. No better than my mom, he says. I burned a lot of bridges with my family and lost trust, and it hurts me to know I hurt them. So I called treatment centers, and my insurance wasn't going to help. So the methadone clinic took my insurance. So I called, and they said they could help me get clean. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, all that. Lie, all that did was get me addicted to methadone now. 2 years later, I wanted out. So I got my take-homes and never went back. I cold turkeyed off of 75 milligrams. Methadone and 75 milligrams of methadone. Methadone and I, sick. 10 days of physical hell I had to endure. But it's the mental part that I struggle with every day now. Even though I'm 73 days sober today, I struggle daily for happiness and strength. I know it's going to be an uphill battle for me, but I'd rather feel like this right now than not to feel at all. That's a great quote. Some days are better than others, but I know I can do it. My name is Natalie, and I struggled for 9 years of opiate abuse, and now I'm recovering. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks for sharing. That one line right there sums it up, where you said, I'd rather feel like this right now than to not feel at all. And that's, that basically is what a lot of people come down to when they decide, now is the time they want to get clean, because for so long, you live a life in this fog and you're numb. You have no emotion. The emotions that you do have are usually when you're coming off, and it's depression and, trying to figure out why you even want to keep doing this. Why do you want to keep living? So there is no real happiness. I mean, you hear some stories, I hear it all the time, where people, they still feel they're at the stage of using where, they still enjoy it. They still have a love for it in a sense. And usually the people that are in that particular love affair are not ready to get clean. Not everybody, but most of the time. And it's those people that are using just to not get sick, or they're using to stay numb and not have to deal with their problems. But they know that when they get up every morning or every afternoon and they're going about their day, they're not actually living. And when you come to the realization that you're only a machine constantly moving and your fuel is these drugs and you have no purpose, that's when people start to lose their interest in this lifestyle, and they'll do whatever it takes to stop, because they want to actually feel and be human again. They want to have relationships with people. They want to, enjoy life, because they realize they only have so much time here, and why waste it numb and in a fog? Doesn't make sense. So thanks, Natalie. Thanks for sharing your story. If you'd like to share your story, you can email me at ryan@compsport.com. In the subject line, put YouTube story, my story. Let me know if you want to use your first or last name or stay anonymous. Also, question and answer video will be done tomorrow. I have a good amount of questions, but if you want to send them in, you can also send those into ryan@compsport.com. And I am so surprised right now at how quiet it is. I mean, it's kind of eerie. I'm kind of curious what they're doing. But check out some more videos. Leave some love for Natalie, some advice for her. And I will see you guys tomorrow with a question and answer video. All right? Have a good night.